Hello and welcome to Table Talk. I'm your host, Karen Wilson. My guest today is Dr. Courtney Bennett, the Director of Virtual Learning at the Warren County School System. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad to talk again. It hasn't been probably a little over a year ago that we talked about the VIP program. Yes. Started, of course, you had been working on that actually before the pandemic hit.
Correct, yes ma'am.
So this is kind of a next level VIP program. Let's talk about the virtual instruction program and the expansion of it, I guess.
Yeah, so during the pandemic, we used the virtual instruction program to provide remote instruction to students in Warren County. And mainly the purpose of that was just to cover instruction during the pandemic when kids couldn't go to school, when we were on a hybrid schedule. And so that's really what the whole entire purpose of VIP was. Now we have essentially killed VIP off and removed it from our system. And so we've replaced it with what's called Warren Connect, and we're actually a state-approved virtual school now. So we serve students in grades 6 through 12, and it's completely different than VIP in that it's more focused and targeted to exactly what the students would be doing if they were in the regular classroom environment. So pretty proud of that.
So that's a big accomplishment. It's basically like having another school in the system.
It is. We actually have a school number now, and so we had to apply with the State Department of Education, and we were given a school number the weekend of July the 4th. So we really didn't know very early on before the beginning of the school year if we were actually going to get state approval or not. All counties in Tennessee had the opportunity to apply for a virtual school number, but all of them chose, to go different routes. Some decided to do it, some didn't. Warren County decided to do it because we'd already had the skeleton in place for virtual, and so we really wanted to take that opportunity and expand what we could offer to our students. I know White County chose not to do virtual, Van Buren County chose not to do it. So there were some systems that just elected not to, do so. And then some applied and were turned down. So we were pretty excited that we actually, were granted that approval by the state. So to go forward and offer something much better than what we had been able to in the past.
Well, and let's talk about how, I'm sure it was not easy to get approved. There's a lot of standards that have to be met.
Absolutely.
What are the standards, and how hard was it to get approved?
Yeah, it was actually quite difficult. We had to submit plans throughout the course of the summer. We had to jump through several different hoops. There was a lady in Nashville who actually approved all of the counties or disapproved the counties that applied. And so we had to essentially submit our plans for our curriculum and say, this is what we're going to offer, this is our curriculum, this is going to be exactly like what the students would be doing in the regular classroom. We had to talk about, what resources we were going to pull from, if it was Pearson, if it was, the same books basically that were going to be in the classroom, and how we were going to develop that academic work for our students. So once we moved through those phases, then luckily they came back and emailed and said, you're going to get your school number next week after the 4th, and you're going to be 0047. And I was like, okay, we did it, we got it, so we can move on. So,
well, let's go back to the VIP program, because people are familiar with that. How is this different as far as what the students, how they're going to interact, how it looks differently?
Yeah, it's the one thing that really, was kind of something we wanted to get away from. The VIP, it was different based on your school that you attended, because it really was left up to, you know, the administrators at the different schools and how they want to approach that. If they wanted their teachers to use Google Slides, Google Classroom, or if they wanted to do something with a set curriculum, then it was kind of like different. So if you were a mom that had 3 kids that went to 3 different schools, then you noticed that this child was working on this and this one is this, and they're all different. So the main thing that we wanted to do with Warren Connect was have a set curriculum that every child, it's going to look the same, no matter what grade level. So 6 through 12, the actual learning management system looks identical for everyone. So it simplifies that, and I think for parents too. So they get used to seeing what their child in 6th grade's doing, 8th grade, even on up to 12th grade. It all looks the same. Now the content obviously is different, but just to know how to operate that and manage it and get in there and find the work and find what they need to do and submit the work and communicate with the teachers. And so it makes everything a lot more seamless like this.
Yeah,
so,
a lot of colleges I noticed have gone to that.
Absolutely.
You have your area where
yes.
you know this is where your assignment's going to be. And
exactly.
As parents, that helps tremendously if you're trying
yes.
to help your child navigate through
exactly.
virtual learning.
It's the same for us. And when the students go and log in, all of their coursework is right there. And there's actually a really neat interface for our students 9 through 12. If they need help, they can actually click a button and a live person will pop up and be in the little chat box, and they can see that person and interact with and say, hey, I need help with this math problem. I need, you know, instant help, and it's there. So we really like that aspect of it. It's more on demand teaching. So
well, and
like
it
that.
sounds like it would give that one-on-one that some
It
students
does.
need for particular
For sure.
subjects, especially math, as you mentioned.
Absolutely, absolutely. Math is probably one of the most difficult subject areas for our kids. I think that's the same for kids in the regular classroom as well. You know, math is a challenge to some. And so what we're able to do, though, through our opportunity that we have right now is if you're really great at math and that's your area, then we can let you go on and work ahead and have some more difficult content that will challenge you more and get you ready for your higher level math classes. So it's pretty neat in that kids aren't just locked into the same curriculum that they would at the same pace if they were in the regular classroom. So they can accelerate and move forward if they're a higher level student. So it's one thing we really like about it as well.
That's great, because you don't want those that are very talented at those things to get kind of held back.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's customizable.
Exactly.
A big part of what we think of for schools and teachers play such a big role. What are the teachers like with this Warren Connect program?
Yeah, right now, it's a great question. Right now in 6-8, we have one elementary virtual coordinator, and that's Miss Jennifer Ritchie. Jennifer had taught math in our district quite some time before I actually ended up pulling her into Warren Connect. And she's a fantastic teacher. So she will actually have live classes, what we call synchronous learning, and she will meet with her classes over Zoom, and she can see them in real time and interact with them on the screen, and she can actually work a program, work through the program and solve math problems with them. She can do anything that we're focused on literacy right now. That's a big component of what we're doing. And so she can pull all of them together, or she can take a group of kids. Maybe she has an accelerated group, and she can pull them out and then just focus with them one-on-one. So it's really flexible, and that's what we see the advantages of that tremendously. So,
well, and you mentioned, we talked a little bit beforehand, how you can also pull resources from other areas. Some of these students are going to have teachers that are dedicated to Warren Connect. Tell us about how that works.
Right. So in year one, what we did, we actually formed a district vendor partnership. We followed in the footsteps of Rutherford County and Dixon County, some of the larger districts that used the partnership with a company that provided staff to actually teach. Now, what we saw happen a lot with VIP, we had a regular classroom teacher who's responsible for all those kids in the class, plus they had the additional responsibility of teaching online for the students who elected to stay, remote for the course of the year. So that's something that we really want to move away from and have designated teachers. So our partnership allows us to have those teachers who are only working with our online students. They don't work with anyone else in the district. So that's been a really big help. And the kids know, hey, this is my teacher. I can contact them at any time by phone, email, even text. They're set up to text back and forth with the students. And it's really neat that it goes through our learning management system, and every piece of communication that that teacher has with a student, I get a copy of it. So I can follow that progress and look at the communication log and see what that student does every day or over the course of the semester, so to speak. So it's really neat that we can follow them and monitor what they're doing to progress.
Yeah, and that's not so overwhelming for the traditional classroom teacher to have the extra students virtually.
Right, because they no longer have any that are virtual. So they would all be listed under Warren Connect. So for instance, if you're a Warren County High School student, you're 11th grade, and you decide that you want to be 100% virtual and you don't want to attend in-person learning, then you're going to be one of our students and you're going to solely belong to us. You will not belong to Warren County High School anymore. So you won't interact with those teachers. You'll only have our teachers now. So, and that's a good thing for the high school teachers or any of the elementary, middle school teachers. They can focus on the student in front of them, and they don't have to worry about doing two jobs at once.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll ask, this may be a little premature to ask, what about graduations and things like that? Will you all kind of give the students some of that traditional feel? We
will. Our graduation, of course, will be smaller because our senior cohort is a lot smaller. In year one, we have five seniors. So talk about individualized graduation ceremony, very personal, to each individual student. But we do plan on the caps and gowns, everything will be the same, just on a much smaller scale. But we'll do that live in person. We've actually already got that booked. It will be May 20th at 6 p.m. and we're going to use the auditorium at Warren County Middle School. So we already know when.
Virtual learning isn't going to go away, I don't think. Let's talk about how it's going to change the landscape of education.
Yeah, I think that it's the flexibility of what a school district can choose to do with it is the most important thing. Initially when people think about virtual, they picture a kid at home sitting on the couch, probably wearing their pajamas with a laptop, just doing their work. It's not so much like that any longer. One of the things that we chose to focus on is how we can use virtual to get our kids more what we call early post-secondary exposure. And that's where we actually have some students right now who are going to begin at TCAT in January. And so while they're working at home online, they're still going to be able to enroll at TCAT and go there in person and work on an industry certification. So they'll actually be more job ready earlier on. And so that's something that the State Department really wants school districts to look at, is how that you can serve kids and get them that exposure so they're career and college ready. The sooner the better. And so we've elected to use Warren Connect to focus on that. So we have a partnership with Motlow where our kids can actually take dual enrollment, and then we have the AP Access for All opportunity for our kids where they can get free college credit. So I have some right now who are working on that, and they're able to take AP Biology, AP Calculus. They can do all of that in their senior year and actually have that college credit ready to go.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a great, I've got 2 kids in college right now, and it's nice to check that box off whenever you're looking for classes.
For sure.
We got that behind us.
For
We've
sure.
already got that accomplished and stuff. Do you think that more and more schools are going to, because we talked a little bit about, or you and I had discussed a little bit about virtual schools kind of can be opened up to even students outside of your territory.
Right,
and that can be, a good thing as far as, you're kind of exposed to a bigger world.
One thing that we're seeing is certain districts in Tennessee are looking at opening up their border, so to speak. So if you are a resident outside of, let's say, for instance, let's just use ourselves as an example. If you live in White County and, you know, maybe you would like to do something virtually, but, you know, they don't offer it, then, you know, technically, you know, that availability would be there according to, you know, the State Department. But right now we have chosen not to do that, to only focus on students in Warren County. Now there are some districts across the state though who are opening their borders and taking students from surrounding counties. And you know, that's good for the county that does that, but it's bad for the county that you're pulling those kids out of their district, because in turn you're taking their BEP funding, you know, with them. So it's a kind of a double-edged sword, you know, and right now one of the things that our director wanted to not do is essentially make a situation worse for, say, White County or Van Buren County. You know, if we pulled a lot of their kids, we're going to in turn hurt them financially. So that's something that he really didn't want to do, and I really didn't either, but I almost see in the future that virtual will become competitive across the state, and I feel like that the way that it will end up going is more along the lines of a charter school, from what I'm hearing. So if that happens, then, you know, at some point down the road, I could almost see us competing with other virtual schools, because, you know, if, for instance, Putnam County wants to offer something that we chose not to offer our students, then we could lose our students out the door to Putnam County or wherever, you know, that they opt to enroll. And so I think that we have to be competitive in what we can offer our kids, and I think we have to be unique and really focus on them as individual learners. And that way, you know, we can give something that keeps our kids here, because you know, this year, of course, after COVID, we've seen a few students who wanted to opt to go private, independent homeschool. And so I'm kind of going to bounce into the homeschool topic as well, if you don't mind.
No, that's great.
We offer homeschool in conjunction with Warren Connect. So if you're a family and you really want that true homeschool experience, we have partnered this year with Tech Trap Academy. And what that means is your child or children can sign up through us, but they can do all of their work at home through Tech Trap Academy. And that serves actually grades 3 through 8. So we can pick up some younger kids. And they're just fantastic to work with. This company's been wonderful. And so really pleased that we can add that into our arsenal of what, you know, we can offer. So trying to always think ahead.
Well, and that, I would think, would take some of the, I don't know, research and overwhelming, you know, feelings to a parent that thinks they want to homeschool.
Right.
You guys come up with the curriculum through this
Tech Trap. It has a curriculum that's actually personalized to, like, your child would take a screener to see what level they're performing at on their grade level and all that. And so the curriculum is actually custom designed to meet the needs of the child. So we really like it. We're seeing really great things. They have a parent group here in Warren County, and they actually get together and they go on field trips. I know they went to the pumpkin patch. They've been bowling. They've had like bowling night. They've done several different things. So they do a lot of enrichment, and so that's something that we're really excited about.
Well, and let's talk about that, because when you think of virtual learning, you kind of get in mind, as you said, the kid in the room, almost isolated. But they're, even with Warren Connect, you've got some interactive parts of the program. How does that work?
Yeah, so that's the neat thing about it. The kids are in constant communication with either my staff or with me. So we keep that communication there, because if you ever lose a child and you don't have those touch points where you stay in contact, then, you know, things can kind of start to go maybe a little bit off track. So we really want that communication. And so part of that is just having like a Zoom meeting and looking, you know, face to face and having a chat in person, and then going over their curriculum and talking about questions they may have while they're doing their work or anything like that. And so there's also opportunities for the child to come in and they'll test with us periodically, take a screener, take a state mandated test. So there's a lot of opportunities for involvement directly with my staff. So I really like that. And parents are great about communicating with us, and so they'll email, you know, often. And one of the neatest things, our students, if they have, say, the internet or the server is down where they can't log in, they'll actually email and they'll say, hey, I can't log in this morning. What, I just want to let you know.
Right.
Yeah, and so they're really great about staying on top of it with, and the engagement has just been great. So.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure as the school expands, there'll be more and more opportunities for interaction.
Absolutely.
Who are good candidates for virtual learning? It may not be for everyone, but who's the ideal person that would consider this?
Right. So, again, great question. I know when we did the virtual instruction program, we opened it for anybody who wanted to, participate in that environment and not be in the regular classroom during COVID. So now our focus is more on what are you what's your performance level as a student? How are you? What's your academic standing? Are you in good standing? Are you passing all your classes? You haven't lost any credits at the high school. We want to make sure that you're where you need to be academically before you come to us, because really virtual is more rigorous than being in the classroom, just because you have to be self-disciplined enough to do it on your own. And if you aren't self-disciplined and you're not committed to it, then you're going to get behind really, really fast. So we look at the students' grades, we back it up for 2 years, we go and we look for patterns. We look to see, are they truant? Have they ever had any issues where they just, didn't go to school? Maybe had to go to truancy court or truancy board. And so if we see red flags like that, we kind of start to think about maybe this student might not be successful. So we also plan to begin a new process in our selection, and that's an interview process where the students who come in the spring will actually sit down and have a conversation with us about why do they want to do virtual. So we're really looking at solid academic candidates, but it's different for everyone. It's really individualized. So
yeah, I guess the reason for participating can be different,
it can,
but you do have
to,
as you said, self-discipline. I mean, even adults struggle with that, but it takes a certain student to be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
well, also let's tell the audience, I guess, about the application process when that starts.
Okay.
How is that going to be working?
So our plan is to open it March the 1st, and it'll be online just like it was last summer. Ideally, we would like to have our selection in place for our cohort for next year by May the 15th. That's our plan. I have a guidance counselor who came over from Warren County High School, and that's Miss Kathy Uten. She is just an absolute legend in the counseling world. Lots of experience, and she's just tremendous help for us. And so she and I have talked, and we would love to have everyone's application in as early as possible so we can really spend time with it and look at, before we make a decision, and then have the chance to interview those students as well. So that's one thing that's our goal, is to have it. Of course, last year we didn't have that luxury. We didn't have that time.
Right.
And so we went through very quickly and looked at applicants and formed a group. So, yeah.
Yeah, so springtime, really actually probably after the new year,
right.
We kind of need to be having that discussion
for
with
sure.
your student.
For sure.
So, well, thank you so much.
Yes,
we have covered a lot. We had a lot to cover. It's a big topic, lots of options. We appreciate the school system growing all of this. It's
Absolutely.
Amazing,
yes.
All the opportunities out there for students.
Absolutely.
As you mentioned, you've got traditional school, you've got Warren Connect, and then you've got the home schooling opportunities.
Yes.
So lots of options.
Lots of options. So I think that keeps us in the being future forward. So I think that's one of the things. As long as we concentrate on the needs of the child, I think that's going to take us really far down the road. So I appreciate you having me back.
Yeah, so happy to do that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us again this week for more Table Talk. We hope you have a safe, healthy, and happy week, and join us again for more Table Talk.